Hi, this is Greg. Look for my book, The Agile Brand, on Amazon or on my website at theagile.world. Welcome to the Agile World podcast. This is Greg Kihlstrom. In the last episode, I talked a little bit about Agile methodology and how it applied particularly to software development, but this idea that really starting from a world where computing power and computers were a rare thing to the ability to make quick changes to things like, in that case, software, really kind of changed the way that we approach things. Today, I'm going to talk about how that applies to marketing. I think Agile marketing is something where now it's really commonplace, and even before it became recognized as a term, people were adopting these Agile practices more than they even thought they were. And I can say from personal experience, I didn't really have a name for Agile marketing when I first started doing it. At my agency that I owned for a while, Carousel 30, we were finding that the timeframes with which we wanted to and really were planning and doing marketing plans and strategies kept shrinking and shrinking. So we'd always have annual goals that we wanted to hit. Our clients, always insisted that we have some type of measurement and goals that we would do from year to year, particularly on something like an annual retainer. But what we kept finding was we kept wanting to and needing to, make changes and adjustments over time. And at first, some of our clients questioned this, and they're coming from more traditional backgrounds. They were like, how come you can't tell me, what this change is going to result in, or what using this specific tactic was going to yield? But in that time, I will say, early days of social media, things were changing so rapidly in that world alone. I mean, now there's so many other channels in addition to social that are changing so rapidly. But, in that social media marketing world and, let's say the early 2000s, we really found it hard to say, well, in 12 months, we're going to do a MySpace campaign. I mean, I don't even know if half of the people listening to this even know what MySpace is anymore. But, back in the day, we actually did marketing campaigns on MySpace. And if we were to come up with a 12-month plan for that, sure enough, our plan would be irrelevant, sometime in the, late first decade of the 2000s. So things like that becomes really important to find some kind of way to be iterative. Again, you need to be methodical about things. You can't just say we're gonna change things overnight if we don't see results. But this idea that I know from personal experience is being more agile, being methodical, but able to change things over time really makes a big difference. One of the great things about Agile is that it does require clear requirements at the beginning. It requires you to set goals at the end, but it doesn't necessarily require you to say exactly how you're going to get there. You don't always know the answers as you're going through the process. You have a series of steps that you want to go through, and in Agile terms, this is often called sprints, but you don't necessarily know what the outcome of one of those sprints is going to be. So Agile and Agile marketing really became a lot more doable and a lot more adoptable with the advent of really ubiquitous analytics. So things like Google Analytics for websites, real-time analytics that they were providing, or easy access to analytics, but not just Google, but email, social, search, all of those types of things. Quick access to all of that data meant that marketers didn't have to set long-term plans and then take a lot of time to measure and analyze and then make an adjustment at the end of a quarter, at the end of a year, even at the end of a month. It meant that decisions could be made much, much quicker. One common misconception is Agile doesn't necessarily mean simply being reactive, though. So it doesn't mean just because we can see that something isn't working within the first couple hours, we're going to change it and we're going to change our strategy. What it does mean is that in a methodical way, we are going to look at things in sprints and we are going to review them and adjust and things like that. It does offer the opportunity to adjust things slightly over time or even drastically over time based on results, but again, those results are done in a methodical way where we're analyzing, we're measuring, and then we're making those changes. So part of becoming more agile means shifting the way that you think about the way that you do your marketing, your branding, really everything that you do. This involves really going from a project-based mindset to an ongoing one. So with my company, Carousel 30, that I sold about a year ago, we went from a very project-based model where, we'd design a website or make a marketing plan or do branding or something like that, and then kind of hand things over to our clients. And sure enough, the more sophisticated clients probably knew what they were doing and kept it, and it was successful. But those that were either late adopters to something, or we were getting our footing, I guess, as social media marketing was taking off in the early 2000s, and a lot of people didn't really know what to do with it. And so it really helped us shift to, now I would call it a more agile approach. Back then, we weren't necessarily calling it that, but it really shifted not only us, but our clients to a mentality of, we can't just give you a plan. We can't just say that we know what's going to be happening in 6 months from now or 12 months from now. Anything from a new social network could pop up, or there could be, fundamental shifts in the way that we track things or measure things. Competitors could pop up. There could be disruption in the industry, so on and so forth. So it not only shifted the way that we do marketing, but it actually shaped the way that we did business, as well as our customers did business with us and with our other vendors. So really, it's it looks like a retainer from a contractual perspective. It looks like a retainer, but it's really it's based on this agile approach where we need to constantly be monitoring, optimizing. And I think several clients of mine with website projects, which were really almost always project based, have really shifted towards, okay, we're going to do a project, we're going to redesign something, and then we're just never going to stop. I think everything from more risk-averse industries that I work in, like financial services, so banks, credit unions, things like that, where traditionally, again, they'd redesign their site every 3 years, sometimes 5 years. They really shifted from, okay, we're going to do it this one last time, really a full redesign, and then we're just going to keep updating things. We're going to use a content management system platform that we update and we keep updated. We keep it secure, keep updating features, all of those kinds of things. So really, not only shifted my business, but shifted their business as well. It shifts the way that you spend money. Instead of allocating, a few $100,000 every so often for a website redesign, in that case again, it shifts your budget to having an annual budget that is actually more even over time. You end up kind of spending the same amount of money even. It's just evenly distributed over time. The client's effort is spent more evenly distributed as well. A website redesign is a very disruptive process, not only to customers, but to an internal organization. And so taking this iterative, agile approach over time and just continually optimizing instead of scrapping and starting over actually keeps things constant. It keeps things moving. It's less disruptive, again, both internally and externally. And I think ultimately it gets better results because you're constantly monitoring, you're constantly measuring. You're not getting to a point and then stopping and then kind of losing all your progress along the way. Being agile and modifying things over time actually helps you learn from your mistakes better and continue to learn from them. So in the next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about Agile and branding and really what kind of makes an Agile brand. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week. If you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please rate the show on iTunes or contact me through my website at theagile.world. You can find my books, The Agile Brand and The Agile Web, on Amazon and on my website at theagile.world.